and on Facebook. Okay, should be watching on DLive, people. Start streaming on there. There we go. All right, good. So, folks, coming up, going to be talking about Articles 11 and 13 tonight with Joe Bloggs, a.k.a. Downliner, a.k.a. John. He's got a few aliases, yeah, and he's a super bloke, and he's pretty knowledgeable. So we're going to be having a chat about that, but there's also quite a lot of news to plow through. So we're going to look at the news first, and then get on to Article 13. So yeah, okay, all right. About 15 minutes, people. 15 minutes, because I'm just running a bit late today. Oh, blimey. Okay, so I'll tell you what. I'll put a bit of music on. Let's put a bit of music on. What's this? I don't know. Ben's sound, sexy. Yeah. Okay. All right. Hey. Oh yeah. Ooh. You make me feel so good. Oh. Now look, if you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook, then you're in the wrong place. Yeah, we have a fascist free version now on DLive, so go check it out over there. guv.li /chaos. Guv, G-U-V, U-V, .li, chaos. Yeah, no, that is the place to watch this. If you care about free speech, then and anyway, blimey, as you can see in this show, we're going to be relying on these other sites. We are not going to be able to get the message out on Facebook at this rate. Coming up in about 12 minutes, people. 12 minutes. Running a bit late today. Yeah. Downliner, can you hear me, mate, on Discord? Downliner?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hey, hello, John. All right, how you doing? All right?
I'm okay.
Good.
I'll
be back in. We're 10 minutes, mate. 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, 12. No, 11. Yeah. Now look, stop complaining about the music. It's all I got. All right, okay, that was awful. This is a bit better, I think. I don't know, maybe not. Blimey. Hello everybody on DLive. Well done. You're in the right place. Everybody else isn't. Oh, blimey. 3 minutes, people. Oh, I suppose. God. Got a bloody mosquito in here, I tell you. Bloody little shit. Oh. Oh, my bloody audio. Oh, for goodness sake. Right, good. Try to stay awake. Just be a couple of minutes. A minute. Blimey. I quite like that though. They're making a thumbs up. Joe Bagali. Oh, blimey, this goes on for another 3 minutes. Hold it, I'm going to fast forward a bit. There you go. Sounds painful. Come on, get on with it, man. Oh, no. Where's he going now? Oh. Right. Oh, blimey. Okay, here we go. evening, all. Good evening, good people. And welcome to the Daily Chaos. The show ain't daily, but the chaos is. I'm Olly Connelly. Thanks for turning up. Especially if you're on DLive. Yeah. guv.li/chaos. Register there, people. We'll talk about that tonight. So lots of news today, and then we best check out, oh blimey, chuck about some awareness into Articles 11 and 13 that look to set activism underground, and crisis might even dent those cake memes. Does the EU really want to annoy the Libtard cakehards? Yeah, it's a good question, isn't it? It's a good question. So I got Joe Bloggs joining me, and the lads and lasses on Discord, guv.li/rant. And I think you're there, yeah? Joe, downliner.
Yeah,
go on.
I'm here,
He's
Ollie.
a man of many names, this guy. And we'll see you in the comments. Please share the show, yeah? Let folks know that we're thinking, talking, watching, active, yeah? Active. Yeah, we hear you. Right, okay, that's enough of that. So let's have a look and see what's going on with the news. I want to try and get through the news quite quickly today because there's quite a lot of it. Some of it's it's a bit surreal. Well, England risk punishment if fans sing pro-Brexit chants during the World Cup game against Belgium, which is coming up, yeah. England could be punished if their fans chant pro-Brexit songs during the World Cup game against Belgium, according to Bildergraph. FIFA confirmed the Football Association would be sanctioned if Three Lions supporters were found in breach of its rules on displaying insulting or political slogans in any form and uttering insulting words or sounds during Thursdays. They should watch this show. Right, okay, that's that. Just a bit of fun at the top there, but it then kind of gets a bit more serious. EU to formally move on creation of military intervention force. I bet there's going to be a few comments about this tonight. This is an InfoWars take, widely reported, actually, it has to be said, today, but of course, way down the running order. After agreeing on military cooperation in 2017, when 25 bloc members signed a defence pact, a smaller circle of EU members are going to take formal steps to create the European Intervention Initiative. This force is designed for responding to natural disasters, crisis intervention, or the evacuation of Europeans, or the migration from Africa to Europe, probably. France's Defense Minister, Florence Parly, has told the French newspaper Figaro that her country, Germany, Belgium, Britain, Denmark, the Netherlands, Estonia, Spain, and Portugal are to sign a letter of intent for the creation of a joint military intervention force on June 25th. So that was today, wasn't it? According to a source close to a French top official cited by the AFP, the goal of the initiative is joint planning work on crisis scenarios. Well, I mean, Jesus, you know what? Then you get mission creep, don't you? While some EU tactical interventional groups exist in principle, so far they have never been used. Is that accurate, actually? I wondered if they had been used. Since the proposed force, known as the European Intervention Initiative, would stay separate from other EU defence cooperation programmes, PESCO, yeah, Britain, which has always resisted the idea of an EU army, well, we'd kind of hope so, huh, will be able to take part even after it has left the bloc. Yeah, so this is separate to PESCO. This is clearly an initiative that allows for the association of some non-EU states. The UK has been very keen because it wants to maintain cooperation with Europe beyond bilateral ties, the French top military official told the newspaper. I'd be interested to hear from a few folks, military types, please, what they think about this and whether or not maybe this is actually a sensible move as opposed to PESCO, which is full in and the EU controls our military, the tradition, all that we've invested in it. With this, maybe this is more about cooperation. I don't know. Let's have a look a bit more at this, I think. I'll come back to this, but let's take some comments. I think I'll come back to this later in the show. I want to whiz through a few things that are going on. Obviously, we know we had our Independence Day 2 years after the vote for Brexit by 17.4 million people. And the biggest ever democratic vote in British history. There's 100,000 folks who are kicking up about that, according to mainstream media now. That were in London the other day, according to all the mainstream media. I was there. I saw something fantastic, awesome to see you. Awesome to see you. I can tell you there were not 100,000 anti-Brexit campaigners in central London the other day. Nothing like that, because when they were breaking up, they were sort of streaming away, and you could tell from the size of the streams coming away from the sort of the vicinity where they were, Trafalgar Square, because they were given Trafalgar Square, and we were out on, I don't know, the Embankment or Millbank or something. I mean, socialist capital, Millbank. Anyway, I think they moved actually, didn't they? Because they sold it and made some profit. But anyway, the point is there were not 100,000 there on either side. I have to say, on our side, it was a bit disappointing in terms of the turnout. I reckon there were tops about 3,000 people. Maybe two. Yeah. That's my estimation. Of what it was. The march that was going down towards Millbank, then I think was at its most, if you like, conglomerated, or around the speakers, when the speakers were first talking and, say, Gerard Batten was talking. I would say there were no more than 3,000 people, to be honest with you. I'll be interested to hear what you got to say about that. Anyway, a Corbyn-backing group is calling on Labour to back a fresh Brexit referendum. This is not so independent. A new Jeremy Corbyn backing group on Monday urged the Labour leader to support a fresh referendum and steer his party away from Theresa May's kamikaze Brexit. This is their language, The grassroots campaign, Labour for a People's Vote. I wonder who's backing that. Is that Soros? Includes an economist who has advised the Shadow Chancellor, John McConnell, and the Transport Union boss, Manuel Cortez. The group claims the effects of Brexit would make the prospects for a socialist Labour government much worse and places pressure on Mr. Corbyn, who has repeatedly said the party is not supporting another referendum. And meanwhile, he was in, where was it? He flew off to Jordan to meet up with that lot or something. And they were apparently chanting the anti-Brexit lot in Trafalgar Square. Where is Jeremy Corbyn? Okay, I think that's what they were chanting there. So anyway, thank God at least he follows the Tony Benn ideology, and kind of seems to know what's going on and is dragging his feet despite this massive propaganda push we're getting now coming at us. And I don't want to seem as though I'm pushing all this, if you like, leftist propaganda. I'm just showing you what's being reported. And this is the kind of the general what's going on in the media. And off the back of this weekend, it was an important weekend. Evening Standard, for example. Now, that is George Osborne's political pulpit, is it not? There, the Brexit News latest 100,000 back petition demanding people's vote after huge protest in London. More than 100,000 people have backed a petition demanding a people's vote on the final Brexit deal after that protest. And there were not, they're saying tens of thousands of campaigners marched through the streets of the city on Saturday, calling for a public say on the final outcome of the negotiations with the EU. I cannot say how many, I cannot estimate how many there were. It was no way 100,000, but I don't know. But I have to say, there were more of them than there were of us, yeah? But then, as Anne-Marie Waters pointed out in her speech on that podium, 17.4. We were only celebrating the other day, on the 23rd. On the day itself, 2 years earlier, 17.4 million turned out. Not however many thousands or even tens of thousands. So, you know what? Yeah. Anyway, I thought it would be nice to just hear a bit of riposte from, say, Rees-Mogg on this, this call to just to drag our heels and stay in this damn thing, whether it's coming from these, if you like, Libtard type folks, or if it's coming from people in the Tory party, like their former Attorney General, Dominic Grieve, with his amendment, which he actually voted against himself in the end, eh? But nonetheless, that's another story. Here's Jacob Rees-Mogg talking about this.
The march was on Saturday, I think, Mark, as I allowed Jacob Rees-Mogg to come back into it.
Thank you, Mark. And I think it's a very important question, but I think a vote of 17.4 million people is more important than a march of about 100,000. But bear in mind, this is not that big a march. 2 million people marched in relation to the Iraq War, which was a much more important
and fundamental number, though.
You know, LBC themselves, he's on LBC here. LBC themselves, the other day after the march, I was listening in the car, and they said on the radio that, I think it was hold on, let me get this right. Organizers estimate that around 100,000 people marched. That was the wording. Organizers estimate. And I think that was their leading story. And anyway, okay, let's hear the rest of this.
It's not about...
But the point is, he shouldn't be agreeing with that, just taking that, Jacob Rees-Mogg. He should be questioning that. I'm just making that point.
Of course, not a bad number.
It shows a feeling abroad, but is it perhaps a sense? No.
Well, abroad, you'd hope the feeling was in the UK.
But you know what I mean.
Look, I think
you can use that word in that context.
I think, Mark, that...
Oh, come on, stop
we've
stuttering.
had the vote, and that democracy requires that vote is implemented. And we've actually had 3 votes, because we had the general election in 2015 that said we would have a referendum.
Olly,
and then the 2017 general election, when both the Labour Party and the Conservative Party said they were committed to implementing the referendum result. And I think you would need to wait a generation before reversing the decision. We're not like Denmark or Ireland. We don't vote until we give the EU the right answer, the answer that it wants. And so I think 100,000 is not enough.
Bloody hell, I should absolutely hope not. Okay, anyway, that was his take on it. I want to put 1 or 2 other points. I just wanted to hear these, actually, to be honest, and hear what they said. I don't think he was forceful enough, Rees-Mogg, but then I don't know. Anyway, this is Daniel Hannan. I'm not sure about him either, to be honest with you.
Why not make it a best of 3, or maybe a best of 5, or maybe a regular test like the cricket? You know, we could do it every few years, or a World Cup. I mean, you know, it's wonderful to have people engaged in politics. It's no small feat to get 100,000 people out on the streets, but 17.4 million is a lot bigger than 100.
Why is he not querying that? Why are they not querying the propaganda being perpetrated by the BBC? Anybody that was in London the other day knows damn well it was nothing like 100,000 people.
More people voted Leave than have ever voted for anything.
But people do change their minds, don't they, in politics? That's why we have elections every few years.
Well, on this occasion, it was made very clear by both sides that this was going to be the one definitive vote. And in fact, people like Vince Cable, Nick Clegg, who are now campaigning to overturn it, couldn't have been more strenuous and fierce in their language before the vote,
but that was always nonsense,
this is it. The other...
Because we had a vote to go into Europe, and that was a definitive.
Yeah, without being given the facts, because people like him weren't doing their jobs.
To leave Europe, and that's a definitive vote. There's no reason why we can't have another vote in 20 years' time and rejoin us there. I mean,
it would only...
And now that's great. That's fine, because the thing will be way gone by then. I'll tell you, that'd be perfect. That's a good idea.
A different proposition.
Go for that.
There's no way that you could have a vote on the same issue.
Oh, mate, you should have just taken the piss out of him for that. I mean, come on. I mean, that's just ridiculous. The thing's going to implode as soon as they haven't got, what's this? Farage, right. Let's hear this.
¿Quién quiere ser solo un espectador? Apuesta 10 euros en el Mundial y te regalamos 40 euros en apuestas gratis, ganes o pierdas.
Okay, all right. Now, okay, the other story that's going on, one other story I want to talk about with Brexit, just briefly, is the Airbus deal. I just thought it was interesting to hear Farage's take on it. He makes a very good, salient point about this particular company. Now, what the deal is with Airbus is that they're saying, you know, basically Brexit's really bad. We're going to move all the business over onto the continent. And this is Farage's riposte.
Saying if there is no deal, they would seriously consider what their future would be in manufacturing in the United Kingdom, because they want us to be part of the customs union stroke single market. My thoughts on that. Airbus is an intensely political company. It was set up that way. It has been subsidised by billions and billions and billions of euros of tax payers' money. And where their argument falls to pieces is aerospace internationally under World Trade Organization rules is a no-tariff regime. So Airbus, it makes no difference to you whether we're in or out of the customs union or single market. And Airbus, most of your engines are made in the United States of America, which of course is not part of the European Union and doesn't have a deal. And when you threaten us and say that if you close down in this country, you might move to China, well, China, I don't think it's part of the European Union either. This is business scaremongering.
Yeah.
We saw it and being done in a very political way. We saw it 20 years ago with the euro. We were told by big firms, told by many in the city, if we don't join the euro, Britain will fall to pieces. Well, we didn't listen to them then, and we shouldn't now.
That's right. Quite well said. Well said. Okay. Just one or two other bits. Actually, still very important stuff. Yeah. EU calls on member states. EU calls on member states to cough up for Africa Trust Fund. This is Breitbart. European, and not found anywhere else this story. I didn't see it anyway. European Union Foreign Policy Chief Federica Mogherini is urging EU member countries to put more money into an Africa Trust Fund as the bloc looks to set up migrant screening centres outside Europe. Mogherini said Monday that the fund has proven to be useful and has brought results, and this is why we are asking for more money from member states. EU leaders are set later this week to greenlight plans to screen migrants for eligibility as asylum seekers at centres in countries including Algeria, Egypt, Libya, Morocco, Niger, and Tunisia. The plans mirror a deal that the EU clinched with Turkey in 2015 aimed at encouraging Ankara to stop refugees setting out for the Greek islands. That deal has cost more than 3 billion euros. Translation, top comment. The EU demands that member countries pay even more money to fund their own destruction by African invaders. Okay. EU says patriotic nations must pay the price for refusing migrants, backs Macron's call for sanctions. Again, this is Breitbart, yeah, and another huge story today, really. What's just not just today, but this what's coming on out of Italy, yeah. The European Commission has backed Emmanuel Macron's call for sanctions on EU nations refusing to resettle third world migrants. Sorry, actually, the Italy story is the next story, yeah. But this is another part of that jigsaw, yeah. Let me go to the Italy story first, actually. Italy rejects EU migrant proposal and warns change will be radical. This is Express. Italy's Prime Minister Giuseppe Conte has announced he will bring radical change to the EU's migration policies, declaring that Italy has set the right direction on the bloc's immigration strategy, while lashing out against France and Spain's joint migrant proposal. He's warned change will be radical, as revealed a new set of new proposals to alleviate immigration issues in the wake of Sunday's EU micro summit on the crisis. The Italian Prime Minister said he was returning to Rome very satisfied, having set the right direction on EU's migration policy. Just sounds a tad Europhile, doesn't it? It just somehow has slight overtones, undernotes of Syriza. Yeah, you remember when they got round the table with the EU? Their tone just changed overnight. Let's see if La Liga are more are less malleable, yeah. And so, coming off the back of that, this is the summit, and the EU says the patriotic nations must pay the price for refusing migrants. So they are, I suppose, working with Italy, and they want to chuck these migrants around, basically. I read a story yesterday in, I think it was Telegraph, and it said it reckoned that there were something in the region of 500,000 illegal migrants in Italy. Illegal, yeah. The European Commission has backed Emmanuel Macron's call for sanctions on EU nations refusing to resettle third world migrants, asserting that countries must be made to pay the price for membership of the bloc. Commissioner Pierre Moscovici said that Central and Eastern Europe, I tell you, it's hard not to laugh while you read this stuff, Europeans have a vital need of Europe, asserting it is not legitimate that nations which refuse to show solidarity would continue receiving a similar proportion of EU funding. Yeah, okay, all right. Blimey. So there's all sorts of stuff going on, yeah, and it's like the pace is just picking up, whether it's the pace from these, remorons, having a cry or whatever, and being listened to by the media, and I don't know. Anyway, okay. I just want to. It's a couple of other things. Yeah, no, that's it. The only other thing, really, there's another couple of big things. CBS poll stateside: 51% of Americans believe a border wall is a good idea. CBS poll. CBS. 51% of Americans believe a border wall is a good idea. I think that pretty much sums up the way Trump's going with that idea there. And a bit of news, bit of good news, yeah. Saw Charlotte Jameson the other day on Saturday. It was lovely to meet you, Don. And she's been on the show to talk about exactly this. FDA approves country's first medicine made from marijuana, and I think that's wonderful. I think that's terrific. The Food and Drug Administration on Monday approved the country's first drug derived from marijuana, a medication that treats two rare and devastating forms of epilepsy. The drug is made of cannabidiol, or CBD, a component of marijuana that does not give users a high. So there is a downside to this, but nonetheless, it is given as an oil, and in clinical trials, it was shown to reduce the number of seizures by about 40% in patients with Dravet or Lennox-Gastaut syndromes. So anyway, hey, that's moving on, and that's awesome. Hopefully they'll start talking about hemp next, yeah, when they want to get round the table seriously, which they didn't in Paris. Then we could talk about hemp and maybe replacing a lot of packaging with it too, stuff like that. Oh, and just lastly, yeah, Turkey election was rigged. Yeah, I mean, what do you expect? Okay, so John, mate. Oh, blimey. That was a long news section.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
I just wanted to do oh no, there's one other story, yeah. There's one other story. I got a lovely story here, yeah. Now, this is a wicked story. In fact, I should save it till the end of the show. I'll save it to the end of the show. That is a great story. So you'll have to wait for that. John, yeah, blimey. Okay, so the 23rd, what do you think about this figure of 100,000, blimey, for anti-Brexit marching? What do you think about the media tone, generally?
It's what we expected.
Your audio is awful. Oh no, that's Docker. That's Simon Dawson. I'm going to mute him for a sec, just while he sorts his audio out. We're going to run on tonight, yeah. We're going to go on a bit. We're going to extend a bit. So yeah, John, go on. Well, I mean, what you would expect entirely. Okay, all right. So let me put something to you, because I spoke to a few people about this who do hear about some of this stuff from people like me, but not much, and basically rely on the BBC for their news service. And it seems to me that there is awareness out there, but people are in their comfort zone. And that is the problem that we have. People are in a comfort zone. That's why we only had less than 3,000 people at the Independence Day rally, it seems to me.
I'd love to talk to BRINO. just to see what is spurring them on to actually support this oligarchy now.
Yeah.
But I'm still echoing.
Oh, hold on. I can do something about that. Sorry, I can do something about that. Yeah, okay. That should be better now. That should stop.
Test. Yeah, that's good. All right.
Good. We've also got Carl here.
I'd love to have a guest on that actually voted Remain. I want to see what their ideas, why they still vote Remain.
Yeah.
It can't just be for mobile phone roaming, can it? There's got to be more to it.
They get
or freedom.
They get that travel pass, don't they? That inter-railing thing. A year of it. I mean, that's got to be worth a bit.
It's trinkets, isn't it? It's trinkets at the end of the day.
It's incredible, isn't it? I don't think that's what they're buying, though. I think you're right. I don't think they're buying that. But they are buying. They're buying a utopian dream. They're buying what's being sold to them, no? A utopian dream. Into hell.
Does everyone forget the referendum election meeting during the 2016? Nick Clegg says, it's a pipe dream. It's not going to happen. This EU army that people keep talking about.
Yeah.
And a year later, Juncker actually comes out and says we need to do military unification. Did people just miss? That's
right. That was about 2 months after the referendum, wasn't it? He gave that speech and he said we want more. We want that, and we want more integration, political integration of Europe. And also,
exactly.
I think
once again,
he might have hinted about taxes. They certainly have since talked about it. Go on.
And once again, the politicians lied, but yet people are still supporting it. Even the media.
Yeah.
The media always seems to lean towards the party in power. It doesn't make sense why people still support it. That's I don't know. Even the 6 o'clock news, even if you watch that, you can see the massive bias, even if you don't watch anything else. Just like you said with the 23rd, they only showed. I mean, I watched the report, and they were only showing the Remainers. They weren't showing any leavers. They were showing people with their shirts on with the EU flags. They weren't showing anything about leave.
No, that's right. Not a word. I haven't read a word. I read 3 papers on the plane back to home earlier. I didn't see a word about the fact that, we had the leader of UKIP talking, for crying out loud, as well. I mean, there were some wonderful, wonderful speakers. Tracy Blackwell was an amazing speech, beautiful, and that SAS guy was fantastic, and all of them. And Rhys Coombs went up there without a script, and he'd just done his A-levels, for God's sake. Very good, really good. And Anne-Marie Waters was, all of them, very good stuff. It was really quite passionate. I did wonder if it was a wee bit hijacked, to be honest with you, away from the Brexit issue, the fundamental Brexit issue. I thought towards the end of the speeches it was being a little bit moved more towards the Muslim issue. And I guess Tommy Robinson. But I mean, these things are all interlinked, though, so that's inevitable, no?
Well, yeah, it's kind of the same thing, isn't it? I mean, we want independence from unlimited migration, so it's going to stand to reason that the cause of the unlimited migration is going to be part of the Tommy, to get Tommy out. I heard them chanting it a few times.
Yeah, big time. And that was important. It was an important component because it's about freedom of speech as well, isn't it? I mean, the whole Tommy deal, quite aside from it seems to me, cynical justice that he's been dealt, quite aside from that, it's about freedom of speech, isn't it? It's about freedom of speech. That's what it's about. It's about being able to cover these events. Now, how long is it going to be before we're not going to be able to go to an event, a rally such as Independence Day, and record it so that people can see it? How long is it going to be before that's prohibited? I don't know.
About a year, maybe, the way things are going. That's what we're looking at.
Now, you do understand what's going on with Article 11 and Article 13 better than I do, and we were talking about it earlier.
A couple of months as well.
Modem Geek, go on. Hold on 1 sec, Modem Geek. And he knows about it, Joe Blogs. So, Downliner, John, so I want to ask him about that and get him to talk about it. But before we do, I'm going to put Modem Geek, bless him, who never says much, but he always comes on mute, and ask Carl Stephen who I met the other day, which was so awesome. Carl, it was lovely to meet you, and Lynn, and lots of other people. Well, I saw these guys together. Carl, how are you, man?
I'm very well, like yourself.
Yeah, fine.
You got home safe?
Yeah,
you got home safe then?
Yeah, yeah, just about.
About the numbers you were saying, me and Lynn, we had to leave just after 4. It's when Tommy Robinson's mum was saying the poetry.
Yeah,
and that was
Granny
brilliant.
Tom. Yeah,
but I was a bit shocked because there was a lot of people there. Lynn said there was 2. I went optimistic 4, so reality about 3. But when we were walking away, I realised over half the crowd had gone by 4:10.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I was surprised. Yeah, go on.
We had to walk down past Downing Street to get to, so we can get to the underground. So we had to walk through the Ramonas.
Oh, right. Okay.
Lynn said she wanted to have a bath afterwards. But we were gobsmacked about how many people were there, and we roughly guessed that there was about 8 to 10-fold on what we had. So
really?
Even if we had 3,000, there was at least 30,000 to 40,000 people there.
Really?
So
really?
I wouldn't say any more than 40, and it was just breaking up as we were leaving. So we were walking with the people, all going in different directions. And I said to Lynn,
and hold on a sec, you're saying that half of our lot had left at the time that you're saying that there were about 30, maybe 40,000. And you walked. That was afterwards that you walked through, of course.
Yeah,
go on.
We had to walk up and turn right and walk back through where they had their party, really.
Yeah.
But I said to Lynn, what you got to remember is main cities, London, Birmingham, and Manchester, all voted. All the money belt voted to stay in. So these people don't have far to travel, even if they live on the outskirts of London.
That's right. That's right.
Journey to get
absolutely, absolutely.
So we spent 10 hours.
It's amazing how many morons you can get on a Piccadilly line train. I tell you. Anyway, carry on. Yeah.
Also, the unions were bussing them in, weren't they?
Yeah, I read that they were.
But they didn't ask the
union money
members,
or Soros money or both.
Didn't ask the members to just put the buses on. So even if the members actually voted to get out of Europe, they were actually paying for the Ramonas to actually have their own party, which is unbelievable because we're not really that financed, are we? So we have to put our hand in our own pocket. But they're giving it. Strange, but it was downhearting walking through, seeing how many people were there.
Yeah. But then again, we
had a good show.
Is that not, though? Is that not because the average person that voted Brexit 2 years ago is in a comfort zone and they think that the government is doing the public's bidding?
A good job.
Yeah. And not a good job, but just acceptable enough that, we're certainly not going to revolt.
They don't want to correct something what's not broken as they see it, isn't it?
That's right.
And if they've got £1 million worth of wealth, whether it's a house or it in the bank, they're in a comfortable zone, aren't they? They're not having anything to worry about.
Yeah.
They should really try and just live on £10 an hour as a job, shouldn't they? Never mind just the minimum wage. So, and then they'll know what real life's about.
Okay, let's take a few comments, and then I'm going to. I don't know.
It was strange. It was strange how half disappeared because I told you to pan. Remembered Ollie? I asked you to pan crowd when you were there.
You said to what? Sorry.
To pan the crowd with your camera, just to see, to give us an idea of the numbers. And then when you were leaving, it's like the whole back row had disappeared.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. You noticed that, did you?
Yeah, I noticed it. I watched the whole thing.
Okay, I have to be said.
We had to leave because we had to get the connections back. I didn't get back home till 10 o'clock. And if we left any later, I actually said to Lynn, should we go for something to eat? Lynn doesn't drink, so I'll have a drink and you can have something to eat, or should we just make a move back? So it's up to you. And I said, well, it took us 5 hours, and if there's any delays, we could miss our last couple of connections. So we decided to walk, and thank God, because otherwise, if we stayed another half an hour, we would have had to be waiting around Birmingham for an hour before a connection, and I won't got home till about 11:30, I think it was. So, but a brilliant day.
We didn't get any buses laid on, did we? We haven't got the money, the funds that these fascists have got. Yeah, these fascists. It's the only way you can call it. It's fascists and libtards. The libtards that think that they're Marxists.
That's probably why half disappeared, because for the same reason.
They've got money. They've got money. They've got loads of money. They can lay it on, get the busloads in, and they get them into Parliament Square. Plus, they all voted London is like a caliphate.
Also, there are websites where you can pay for
It's a
crowds.
completely different, and so it actually does make a lot of sense what you say. But it's very frustrating. But we do not. And it goes to show what a people's revolt Brexit is, doesn't it? The fact that we couldn't afford, we didn't have the buses to get people in. We had to get there on our own.
It did give me an idea, Ollie. When Lynn did a carpool idea, maybe we should have done it a month or two before. But obviously, there's going to be many marches. Why don't we do it as a bus pool? So you will pay towards the bus, and then you can pre-book the buses as you need them. And you could actually have a central office, what does it for international, one from Scotland, one from Birmingham, one from... If you haven't got the numbers, they get a minibus because they've prepaid. And any money they make, it will go back either on food and sandwiches, or they give them back when they get on the bus, because it's not run to make money. And you could bus them in that way, couldn't you?
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
That is a good idea. So look, you better talk to Lynn about that, because she organised.
Yeah, I was thinking if it's going to be £25 a head to get there and back on a bus, a minibus or whatever it's going to, and you've got 10 people, well, it's going to cost about 25-30 quid a head, isn't it? So as long as people prepay it, not on the day, but by prepaying it, books their seat, so that bus will go. So all you got to do is either have a driver for a coach, or if the minibus is there someone going to be designated to drive. The only problem with that, if you're doing it personally, you've got to pay the tax going into London. And then you've got the problem of parking as well. So they'd have to drive out and drive back in again.
Well, I mean, the other lot, the remorons, yeah, they must have parked somewhere. So presumably you can park somewhere. Maybe they parked in the House of Commons car park, or the House of Lords private car park. Sorry, go on.
When you walked away from the march,
cheaper than public transport anyway, because it's nearly £100 to get from Manchester to London.
When you walked out the march, going up to the top road, if you turned right and walked down, there was 4 or 5 coaches all parked up, waiting for people. So they've come to pick them up to ferry them off as well. But how they got away with parking on double lines in London?
No. Oh, sorry, that's what. Okay, all right. Okay, take a few comments.
Hypothetically.
Oh, guess what? Guess who just turned up in the green room? James, who didn't turn up on Saturday. James Gore, yeah, he probably got arrested for giving him one of his dodgy promissory notes or something.
Off topic, Gore.
James, God bless you, man. Listen, hold on a sec. Let me take a few comments here, yeah. This idea about the coaches, I think, was said but never happened, says Trina Ellsworth. Yeah, I mean, we've got to be more organised. So when is that? When is that, Carl? When is the next big event?
Well, I'm not a great supporter of Tommy Robinson, but that's coming
That's
up,
in 2 weeks, isn't it?
16th, is it, or something?
So but what about for Brexit? What about for Brexit? We should, how can you rally 20,000 people for Tommy Robinson? I mean, fantastic. That's great. But I would have thought if you rallied 20,000 for Tommy Robinson, Brexit is the wider cause, yeah? You'd surely get 50,000. You'd surely get 50,000. I was hoping we'd get 6 figures.
Did you see what BBC put as well?
Go on, James. Go on, James. Go on.
BBC put it was an anti-Brexit march where we were there. I would love to got on stage. I was right at the front. I didn't see you, Ollie. I saw Kyle and Lynn. I didn't see you. Where was asking for you?
To the right of the stage. Yeah. Most of the time.
Yeah, I was to the left and to the right a bit, and moving about.
I was sat down. I was sat down with skin sores on my bottom toe, but it was worth it.
So what did BBC say? What anti-Brexit?
BBC said something like, they're just pushing the Orwellian agenda, really, but.
Isn't it funny?
Anti-Brexit. Anti-Brexit rats, and then you got the progressives saying that's racist.
Everything's racist these days.
Yeah.
Yvonne Tierney says
it's the wording. It's the wording in it, anti-Brexit. It sounds like Antifa or something that's bad.
No, I was on the underground with one of them. She didn't look at me. She was looking proper down at me.
You should have had a chat with her.
I was on a ruffler walking. I'm like,
you should have sang her a song.
Yeah, I would.
Did you talk to anyone in Remain just to try and get an idea of the insanity in that group?
The whole system's bloody insane.
Well, yeah, I agree. But what are these people thinking? What are they going to get out of being in the EU now?
Nothing.
So why?
I think they're just pushing the agenda more, really. But like, it's good to see people out on the street, getting out there. But we need the real traitors in Parliament. They all need to be hung, and they all need to be free. We need to stop using their bastard funds. Sorry for swearing.
It is the problem. Here's the problem. We're not billionaires, and we can't offer each person who comes £100 or something to do it. And
why are you promising not getting the shots?
Here we go. Here we go. I wondered how long it would take till we got to the promissory notes.
Well, let's not go down that route. Come on, we've still got to do Article 11, 13.
Yeah, we do. We do. Okay, let me
Mm.
ask. We've got Arsenal. Arsenal's popped in. Arsenal 100. What would you like to say? I've not seen you about these ear parts before, so welcome.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Clearly.
James Gore is gay. Don't be.
What's your evidence to support?
What I'd like to actually say,
right,
is if you all go outside and see what the United Nations is doing by poisoning us from the sky, you'll understand a bit more about chemtrails. Go and all look outside right now while it's clear blue, and you will see about 30 planes going in opposite directions to poison you.
Yeah, we're aware of the chemtrails, but we're actually, I mean, that's been going on for a long time. But
no one's doing anything about it.
What can we do about it? We need to try and end corruption. We've got to try and get rid of the corruption before we can fix anything.
You need to understand the difference between a civil matter and a public matter.
And a public matter, yeah. A common law and a legal law.
Here, go. Yeah. I want to play Yes on Pez tonight.
You want to what? You want to what? You want to what?
Let's play Yes on Pez.
It's a football game.
Oh.
Football game, man.
Oh.
Let's stay on top. Let's get to Article 11, Article 13.
Simple Article 13.
Yeah, we're gonna hold on. We're gonna get onto that. I'm gonna take some comments. Yeah, I'm gonna take some comments. Charlotte Jameson says Ollie was all over that on that thing. Yeah, thank you, Charlotte. I was, and she was stalking me. I tell you, I met some lovely folks. I didn't meet Chris Ford because she didn't turn up. She came along to London or something from out Timbuktu, and then she never actually walks along the bloody thing. Useless. Anyway, Chris.
I met Lily Carl.
Why didn't you turn up, Chris? Would have been lovely to meet you. Anyway, I met Chris Baxter and I met Beverly Taylor King and Stephen and loads. It was just awesome. It's fantastic. Very, very lovely. Yvonne Tierney says that she was knackered basically. I did not get home until 12:30. My train broke down. Absolute chaos, she says.
Typical.
Yeah. And Maureen Smith plus Diane Abbott was calling Ramonas to attend the rally for Remain in London on the internet last week. And I'm sure a lot of them were. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of them were. I mean, for crying out loud, that Dominic Grieve bloke, what he was doing. Let me see if I can get this. Oh, hold on a sec. Let me see if I can grab this paper.
That's what happened.
Hold on a sec. I've got a load of rag bloody over here. I want to read a bit of this because this is potentially the power of what we're doing, folks, online a little bit. Not just us, but I think. Oh, blimey! Hold on a sec. I'm going to trip over.
I've got one more question to ask all of you, and I want to see if any of you can answer this question.
Go on, sir.
Do you know when you sign a contract with an employee? Yes, you sign a thing called a PAYE. That is a contract between you and the government to pay tax. Did you know you can actually get out of paying that?
Yes.
So who here pays income tax on their wages?
You can't get out of it now, can you? Because the Inland Revenue have got access to your account.
Because I just basically went to my employer today and I signed out of a contract where I will not pay tax to a corrupt government that spends my money on foreign projects and not caring about its own indigenous population.
Yeah, sorry. I had to do that.
Good on you,
well
James.
done,
James,
Paul.
James, is Arsenal your twin brother?
No, but I'm very sorry. I know how to manage money, but people live in poverty because they accept the rule of law. There is no rule of law when it's corruption and corporations.
It makes sense that to hurt them would be to stop paying them.
Listen, if they spent my money the right way, I'd have no problem.
Well, exactly. It's like the bins. They used to change the bin collection to every 3 weeks for the black. And then a year later, they brought a private company out that empties the bins for those days that can't be emptied. So it sounds like they're privatising the council bin collection.
That's right. And also garden waste. I heard on Radio 4 this morning, driving at Gatwick Airport, that yes, what you just said, and also garden waste. Apparently, a load of councils aren't dealing with that. And also, I was round my mum's yesterday, and she was telling me that she had a couple of rats in the garden, and so she called the council, and they put her in touch with another quango, private company dealing with that now. The council don't deal with pest control anymore. And it cost her...
No, they haven't outsourced it.
And she was
85 quid or something.
No, 250 quid, yeah, for a couple of traps. 250 quid. My mum's 86 years old, yeah. I talk about being taken advantage of. That's what's going on here. 250 odd quid it was. Crazy.
So I wonder really what your council tax is being spent on.
But, well, I mean, this is your local representation, yeah? This is the Bucks Free Press. Now, some of you will know that I sent a couple of posts, ebullient posts, to Michael Grieve, or what's his name? Dominic bloody Grieve, yeah, former Attorney General, Conservative MP for Beaconsfield, because this is the guy that put the amendment, or tried, and almost made it the case that there would be no chance of a no-deal Brexit, which is the only way we get Brexit. And so this is really was very crucial. And talk about putting a thing in there, or whatnot. So anyway, Bucks MP. This is on page 12. This is what's happened since people like me protested. I'm not saying that I had anything to do with it. I sent my comment. I CC'd it to like the Round Table of Beaconsfield and the Beaconsfield whatever guild and the Conservative Association in Beaconsfield. So this guy, I don't know. I assume other people did. I reckon his association got to him. But listen to this: Bucks MP backs down on Brexit vote. Grieve slams EU hysteria. A Bucks MP has warned he risks becoming a modern-day Grand Old Duke of York after backing down over a vote which risked defeating the government. He voted with the government in the end. He backed down fully. He didn't just abstain. Dominic Grieve ultimately voted against his amendment to the European Union withdrawal bill, which aimed to give Parliament a meaningful vote in the Brexit process following further government assurances, whilst weakening a decent government's hand at negotiating. Not this government, sure, it doesn't make any bloody difference, does it? The government had outlined it would offer a symbolic vote. Anyway, he's back down, yeah. The power of what we can do, folks. I'm not saying that, I had a particular hand in that, but a lot of people did what I did, I'm sure. And his Conservative Association, I reckon they will have had a word with him. And they're having, I've got to tell you the top story.
They used the whip.
I've got to tell you the top story now. The story I was going to say at the end of the show, because it's just so relevant. And this is a wicked story. And this is what we're doing, yeah? This is what we're doing when we do use these guerrilla tactics on these bloody MPs that aren't representing their constituents, yeah? This is Guido Fawkes. So Anna Soubry, I know I'm having a bit of a rant tonight, yeah? Wound me up that so few people turned up the other day. Soubry calls Broxtowe Tories crisis meeting. Anna Soubry has called a crisis meeting of her local Conservative Association and admitted that some members are not happy with her. Over the weekend, Guido revealed that Dr. John Doddy, chairman of Broxtowe Conservatives, has been canvassing the opinion of local Tory members about their MP, this bloody Anna Soubry, Soubry has herself written to members, making clear that despite her constituency voting to leave, she supports staying in the single market and a customs union with open borders. She writes, I will continue to support the Prime Minister towards this soft Brexit. I believe this is her aim. And she has called an emergency meeting of local members to discuss her position on Brexit. I'll tell you, we do need to use guerrilla tactics on our MPs now. Those folks in that constituency should be all over her like a rash.
Do you know what, yeah?
Absolutely.
Any parliamentary person that serves the public should not be a part of the Bilderberg group, and you'll find 90% of politicians are a part of that same organisation.
Well said.
Absolutely.
Including Amber Rudd. For some reason went to this one. I don't know why. She just got sacked recently, didn't she? Oh, well, dropped down from her
She was,
position.
yeah,
Why was
that's
she going
right.
to Bilderberg?
Yeah, she's another one that's being primed for PM. She's a perfect candidate, isn't she? She's got a real dodgy brother as well. Apparently, he's in court at the moment. Yeah.
The one person,
Insider dealing accusations, I think.
Right, this is more important, yeah? The one person you're not aware about that's pushing Remain is fucking George Osborne.
No swearing. George Osborne, he was there too, wasn't he? He was at Bilderberg this year in Turin.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
All around me, and this government is taxing the death out of us and giving our money to corrupt bureaucrats that don't get voted in by any person in public in the EU.
Yeah.
Well, they get...
You could
they
say
have
that.
ties with the Vatican, you see.
Look, hold on a second. Oh, blimey. Okay, let's not go there. But Gordon, bloody Gideon Osborne or whatever his name is, Evening Standard. Yeah, they got this story, haven't they? It's his paper. It's his paper. 100,000 back petition demanding people's vote. He's basically calling for people's vote by printing that petition. How many petitions?
That doesn't make sense.
How many petitions of these kind of numbers have our community put together, and they've been published in that Evening Standard?
Yeah. That doesn't make sense either. You've got politicians who actually push the media.
Pardon?
They're actually
Openly.
trying to change the statistics, so they're going to try and make out that more people actually want to remain and have a second vote on the final deal. What you're going to get on the final deal, if we stay in, is the fiscal government, and we'll be the underdogs. We won't be able to do anything, nothing to vote on. We won't have an opinion. That's what they're doing. They're trying to convince you that most people want a final say on the vote, and it's nothing to do with the referendum. It's going to be just on what we're going to have. Well, surely, if we don't get one, we should just walk, and that's what the whole thing of signing Article 50 was in the first place.
Yeah, we know what's going to happen if they do get the vote. They're just going to say no, and then it's going to drag on for years to come.
Burko is going to get the say, isn't he? Bloody John bloody Burko is going to get the say on whether or not Parliament can vote on the government's deal with the EU.
John Burko's a Remainer.
He's
a Remainer. Yeah, he is. I mean, that's just absolutely disgusting. That's the thing, isn't it? That's what the media's not talking about. There's all of these. Even Farage. Why isn't Farage talking about that? Jacob Rees-Mogg. Why isn't he pointing that out? Am I wrong? Maybe I've made a mistake. Did I make a mistake there? I'm pretty sure that's the deal. John Burko gets to call the shots. One guy.
That's what I heard as well, Ollie.
I watched Nigel Farage on LBC, and he pointed this out last week on his show.
So you did say it.
Good.
That's good, especially on LBC.
But we need to be shouting it. Okay, it's not. Maybe they are. Maybe Farage is. Maybe it's tonight. But in the media, they're not talking about it at all. At all.
It controls the headlines. Remember that, which is a part of the elite.
Sorry,
Did you know that elite? Do you know the elites that we all know as that we all call the elite? They're not called elites, but the Egyptians called them parasites. That's what they are.
They are parasites. That's exactly what they are.
I think you should come on more often.
Yeah, Arsenal, please come on again, mate. And we could get real esoteric with you, couldn't we? You are an esoteric man.
He is actually.
It's gone quiet now. Anyway, all right, okay. So we'll take control. Hey,
I'm eating my dinner.
Oh, good.
Always dinner time when you're It's always dinner time.
David Laddie says about that Subri letter, it's nonsense. He's basically saying, and wish I had known this, Amanda. This is a conversation, but I don't know. Yeah. Donald Davidson. Hey, Don. From stateside. How to create a nation within a nation to overtake the present rulers of the nation that is in control at the present time. And he gives his email address. This isn't,
sounds like a marketing pitch, that.
Yeah, blimey. But Don isn't
he's
not a taxpayers are like alcoholics. If they don't admit that taxation is the problem in operating a nation, they will never solve the problem. No, Donald is a good man. He's a good guy, and I think he's just wanting to network with us all, and quite right. You should get on the show. I'd like to ask you about some parallels with the States, Don. I tried to debate the leftists, and they ran away, says the British hive mind. It was lovely meeting Glenn as well, Glenn Rocky Teal the other day. I didn't see Dave Wolf. Trump visit on the 13th, 14th, the British hive mind. That's another thing a lot of people will be turning out for. And I think that we're going to see busloads brought in to protest against that from this Soros type.
Tons of Soros-funded NGOs going to be fighting that one. They don't want Trump to show up, do they? They despise Trump.
It's going to be very interesting to see the lining of the route. I wouldn't be surprised if he had a huge amount of heckling along that route, all bussed in by the likes of bloody Soros. I don't know. Anyway, and the other thing I wonder about his visit, I do wonder if, this is, from the point of view of Bilderberg, the UK is the perfect place to bump this guy off. If you're going to bump him off, don't do it on your own soil. Do it on British soil where they're complicit with Bilderberg. And they've got the resources to do it. They did it to a princess. They could do it to Donald Trump. No? am I wrong? I don't know. You tell me. It's my what do you reckon?
Can we throw away Joe Show Times? I'd love to do that.
That was another thing. Donald Trump ignored the request to pardon Julian Assange.
That's right.
He pardoned Muhammad Ali and all the other ones. Why didn't he pardon the guy who actually made him the president in the first place? Because it's that information that he let out. Without that, Trump wouldn't have became president, would he?
I don't think he would. No, I don't think he would.
People would have fallen for that woman thing. She's a woman, so give her a chance.
The Podesta emails could have turned it.
Exactly. It's just he didn't. He ignored it. Loads of people went to Twitter and said, can you pardon Julian Assange? He's been there for 6 years, and for the last 6 months, he's not had any doctor appointments. He's not had any doctors, no internet. He's been cut off from the outside world.
He's actually released something today, because I'm just going to say I put it in the Hall of Crap Mirrors as well, Ollie, if you want to flick in there.
Go on, Carl. What's that?
WikiLeaks released the full, her full ISIS donor list with names. It starts off basically, WikiLeaks just finished the job. And
ISIS donor list, i.e. Saudi Arabia and Qatar.
Hillary just got killed. She is not going to survive this. It's too much. Pure treason. According to the conservative Daily Post, Barack Hussein Obama and Hillary Clinton are the founders of ISIS, and it carries on. But it's in a whole crap mirror, so if you want to flick on it, you can go through it. And it's I only came across it last hour.
He's still working. Assange is still helping Trump, even though Trump's not even pardoned him. As soon as he steps out that gate of the Ecuadorian embassy when they're going to kick him out, that's it. He's going to be facing hundreds of years in prison for treason in the US.
Yeah, but how can it be treason when he's not a US national? It's not. It's not possible. It's impossible.
How could Barack Obama become president of the United States when he's not American?
He could be a political prisoner, and they could use treason as the excuse. But it wouldn't be, I would have thought, constitutional, because he's not an American.
It's because the British are going to cooperate with the US to hand him over. I don't think it's Trump that's actually out for his blood.
John, I know we were going to talk about Article 13 and 14.
Yeah, eventually, yeah.
Could we do it?
I'll just make it simple, right? 13 is copyright, right?
Okay, all right. Do that. Before you do, let me just read a bit of this WikiLeaks thing, and then we'll do that. WikiLeaks released her full ISIS donor list with names. WikiLeaks just finished a job that started a few months ago. Hillary just got killed. She is not going to survive this. It's too much. Pure treason. This is according to aboutsome.net. According to Conservative Daily Post. Well, they're saying, according to Conservative Daily Post, Barack Hussein Obama, and okay, so this is a kind of a Breitbart type leaning type thing, and Hillary Clinton are the founders of ISIS. We have proven that through emails and documents leaked from WikiLeaks, but liberal media outlets still refuse to cover it. Well, that sounds familiar. After all, they are still more focused on what Trump said 11 years ago than what Hillary has actually done. Because of brave patriots like Julian Assange, we have been given more evidence that Hillary Clinton is more connected to ISIS than we originally believed. An email was leaked between Clinton and John Podesta, her campaign manager, indicating that Western intelligence, US intelligence, and sources in the region to accuse Qatar and Saudi Arabia of providing clandestine financial and logistical support for ISIL or ISIS or Daesh or whatever it is and other radical Sunni groups in the region. Yeah, I mean, anyway, citing the need to use our diplomatic and more traditional intelligence assets, said Hillary to Podesta while arguing the current developments in the Middle East were important to the US for reasons that often differ from country to country. And Clinton got money from Saudi Arabia Foundation, and Bill Clinton got money from Qatar. I think, again, it went into the foundation. And these two countries were also, ISIS, whatever. So anyway, no real surprise, though. But, I mean, it's amazing how many of these conspiracy theories actually turn out to be true, Han. It actually does sound, if that's WikiLeaks, that sounds though that's another one.
Just before you all go on, I want to ask you two questions, Ollie.
Go on.
Go on.
First question, what beer do you like drinking?
I like a pint of Abbott, a pint of Old Speckled Hen. Yeah.
Okay.
Something swimming about in it.
I'll donate a tenner to you so you can get yourself a pint.
Oh, mate. Oh,
and here's the second question.
Arsenal, God bless you. Go on.
Why did Donald Trump, on his first foreign trip visit, go to Saudi Arabia to sign one of the biggest gun deals ever in the United States history?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
He's a terrorist, mate. They all are. They're all against the people of the world.
Okay, let me put a point to you. What's your opinion to this? That he is having to play a chess game with the deep state in order to survive, and for there to be any chance of his being able to change things for the better in the long run is possible.
Well, I think the self-destruction of America began when they invaded Iraq.
Yeah, but that wasn't Trump.
No, but it was the American, as in the money machine.
Well,
I see what you're saying, Ollie. You're saying Trump has to get into the swamp in order to drain it.
Yeah, well, possibly so. I mean, otherwise, for example, he possibly wouldn't even be able to get a spending bill through Congress.
Well,
if you tried John F. Kennedy's method, that's not the best way to do it, is it? So.
Well, that's right.
I'm going to make an observation. The American Army is a private corporation business. Even though it's the American Army, it's actually a corporation business. It's not belonging to
Look on Company's House.
So when the army is prepared to back Trump for what he's doing, that's the question, isn't it? Because he's actually got the backing of the American Army behind him. But it's still a corporation. It's not like our army at the moment, which it won't be if we join PESCO.
Did you hear that story, Carl? Carl, I said I'd come back. Did you hear that story that I mentioned earlier about the EU to formally move on creation of military intervention force? Major step down path to European army, according to InfoWars, and it's been covered heavily. Go on.
Well, it's basically just a blunt of a blag, isn't it? It's to make people think it's for one reason and their agenda is a different reason, isn't it?
You're so cynical, sir.
Well, it's not. It's true, isn't it? We had our Prime Minister stood up and actually belittled people's idea of there would ever be a military EU army. And it's so stupid. On the same day, he was promising to give us a referendum. Yeah. And look what we got 2 years later. We're doing a backdoor treatment of getting you into a PESCO agreement, because it'll be another agreement, it'll be another agreement, it'll be another agreement, and all of a sudden everything's all in one. Your police force, intelligence, and everything else.
You make it sound like a customs alignment agreement.
Well, it's fascism. Fascism at the end of the day, isn't it? What they're doing. They're doing a land grab. When Russia, Soviet Union collapsed, what did they do? They put a lot of strict laws on the people, and they did a massive land grab. And that's exactly what the EU is doing at the moment. It's trying to invite all these other countries in and creating more and more laws. And that's when something is going to implode generally in history, because every single state which has failed, it's what they tend to do. They panic, try and grab as much land as they can to secure, and then the actual central government banking system folds, doesn't it? And the money man who owns the bank moves to somewhere else, and they've just moved from Russia to Europe. So,
David Laddie says Soylent Green soon. Soylent Green soon.
So,
carry on.
But it's going to change very quick as well, isn't it? This is not going to happen slow.
No, when it happens.
That's what I worry about.
Yeah.
You know when it's going to happen.
That's Predator Jeff popped in. Deutsche Bank is the thing, isn't it? I mean, when that goes, it's over.
When gets shut out this week because of a migrant policy, the bank will crash.
Deutsche Bank is propping up the EU. That's why they're looking at a new treasury
I
for
hate
themselves.
banks. They can all go to hell.
The EU are looking for a treasury of their own.
Yeah, they are. Right. Okay.
That's Deutsche Bank
now, right. Look, John. Okay, let's do this. Please explain to us the importance of Articles 11 and 13. What we must know.
I'll put it in simple terms, right? It's under the guise of copyright. Yeah, it's to make them think that they're fighting copyright. Just like the war on drugs, it's a useless, pointless endeavour. But they're doing it to stop people from talking. And so 13 is the copyright, where you're not. It's memes have got copyright images, like for example Willy Wonka. It's got Gene Wilder, so that's ownership of who owns that? Is it Disney?
It's in Article 11 about
Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. That one.
Yeah, they have a lot of memes using his face, don't they?
And so, memes use his face, and they put on a political slogan or something, or whatever, or some sort of a political joke, satirical, which is a cornerstone of being able to have free, fair dealing is called in the UK in journalism, is where you're allowed to use it because it's no, that's not journalism. If it's satirical, you can get away with using it. So, that's clamped on. But everything is clamped down on, no? Everything, not just that. Everything.
No, that's just one thing. That's just copyright to make it look like they're tackling copyright when there wasn't actually a copyright problem. That's just saying that intellectual property can't be used on memes, which is fine. But normally
on memes and on anything else, you can't you can't put up a post on Facebook which has a link, can you?
No, that's Article 11, link tax, where
right. What's the difference? Right.
If you're going to quote something from a newspaper, like a word-for-word quote, you have to get permission from the person who's promoting that, who's actually put that content up. So, for example, with BBC News, although I'm not sure when you'd ever quote BBC News, but you'd use
well, I mean, I show the papers. They put the papers up. So, for example, I do. Let me just put it up now, and I'll show you.
But you do it for a live video. If you do it for like copying a link, pasting a link into Facebook, it's a different story. It's a link tax, isn't it? It's the people who.
Okay, that's the link tax. But I, nonetheless, still wouldn't be able to use this over Article 13, is what they're saying anyway. I reckon I could challenge that, but that's what they're saying, no?
Well, they're putting emphasis on 13 because that's to do with copyright, isn't it?
Can I ask a question?
11's just kind of tucked under the table. I noticed when they were doing that Stop the Internet, they only mentioned 13.
That's right. Yeah, no, 11. I wasn't aware of 11. They're quiet on that. But people have been talking about it. I just didn't twig. Link tax. And so the bottom line there is you cannot put out a post or a tweet or whatever which has a link without getting permission from the originator of who created that link. Yeah?
That's right. That's it, yeah. That's right.
And you can just imagine that the BBC are going to let you, use your thing or whatever. And even if they would you bother? It completely disables the conversation. That's the point, no?
Can I ask a relevant question, please?
The difference is, hold on, Jeff.
Go on, John.
Difference is, BBC, all these big, huge corporations, they've got the money to do this. So just like the EU system was the protectionist model that favoured fines on big companies because they can afford it, but local businesses can't. So they're looking at the alt-right media that can't afford to actually get in hot water from people sharing their links. Doesn't matter to the big companies; they can pay it. So it's competition. It's wiping out the competition, just exactly like the EU model does. Wipes out the small business.
There's a bigger thing in that, because if you want to be a journalist, you have to sign up to the EU. So it will be people who signed up to the EU who can create the news.
Who says that? Who says that? They say that.
You can see what
the NUJ maybe says that. The National Union of Journalists or whatever. But I don't personally recognise that anymore. I don't recognise the NUJ as being a home of quality journalism at all. It's full of crap. It's all absolute abject propaganda, for God's sake. That ain't journalism. I don't recognise the NUJ, and I don't recognise the EU. They've got this law, haven't they? They've got it on the legislature. They reckon that if you criticise the EU, you're criminalising yourself. You're not allowed to criticise the EU as a journalist now, yeah? You could argue that's one of the reasons the BBC never do it. And whenever they do it, somehow, it's always indirect. It's never directly done. By a commentator or whatever. Anyway, it's worth noting. But yes, it is illegal under EU law to criticise the EU. But I don't recognise that personally. They do not recognise that. That's just immoral, for God's sake. Sorry, carry on.
We shouldn't recognise any EU laws because
no,
the EU
I don't think we should after 2 years ago. I don't think we should.
Don't recognise it. If you go to court, say I don't recognise these directives or any of that, it's all a load of old crap that was foisted on us without the consent of the British public. It was all done by deception. So that's what I would say. But also, I wanted to ask a question which is quite relevant to what this topic is how would they actually enforce these stupid copyright laws and these link taxes and things like that? Would they actually be able to enforce it? Just sounds like they're trying to scare people into shutting up to me.
Well, John, you've got an answer for that, haven't you? He's gone. Where's he gone? John? Come on, mate, wake up. For goodness sake. But because the scary thing is, I think that they can enforce it. And I think they can enforce it quite easily. And they already are enforcing it. In fact, hold on a sec. Let me play something quickly. Let me see if I can find this. This is Paul Joseph Watson talking about this subject. And I queued something up earlier, so I'm pleased I've remembered. Thanks, Jeff. Let me just play this, because this, I think... Oh, no, this is a different bit. Oh, blimey. Hold on a sec. Let me play it from the beginning, and he'll explain how it can be enforced.
Go wrong. Could this algorithm be abused by partisan social media giants to prevent the viral spread of memes that benefit right-of-centre political movements and candidates?
How could it be
never
used
do such
against
a thing, would they? But why does this matter? Because memes can change history. As Richard Dawkins first explained, memes are like genes for information, and human evolution has been guided as much by memes.
No, that's not the point I wanted to hear, really. But anyway, but the fact is that they can enforce it, because they are already enforcing it. They're already enforcing it with, for example, YouTube automatically filters out pornography, and they also filter out copyright stuff. And they can filter out anything, for crying out loud. They can do it at source, and it could be that the onus is put on them. No, okay, go on. Who's that? Arsenal.
What I want to know, Ollie. So if I don't pay this link tax or pay this blooming link,
you'll understand what I told you.
Arsenal, just one sec, Arsenal, just a sec. Go on, Jeff.
So if I don't pay a link tax or a link license or whatever, it just gets filtered out, does it? Or do I get something in the post? Do they go through my IP address to my internet service provider and enforce it that way, or what? I don't know.
Arsenal, go on.
DPA, you can't under DPA, Data Protection Act. No one can. Only with your consent. There's two versions of a person. Your title, which is Mr. or Miss or Mrs., or there is you, the human being. That's called
but they don't recognise that, though, Arsenal. I hear what you're saying, but they do not recognise that. They'll send the bailiffs round eventually, won't they?
Yeah, because what they will do is they will use a so-called fake court as a bulk centre, as i.e. Northampton bulk centre court.
Sure.
Yeah, this is what happens. So they come with a fake CCJ with no court, no jury, no judge, nobody signing on a wet signature, because that person is then liable to be sued by you.
Really?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I tell you, Arsenal, I hope you're going to call in on a regular basis, mate, because you add a lovely dimension to this.
And here is my final point.
Go on.
Any court that sends you a CCJ, which is a debt that they are trying to fleece money out of you, it needs to have the Queen Elizabeth II stamp on it as well. And then you can sue them people, or you can take them for courts, because that is called a fraudulent letter. And no man will ever sign that is a judge, because they are liable for prison for 35 years.
Wow.
Oh, mate.
So that's good, Arsenal, but you still haven't answered my question. The question is, do they do it through your IP address and go through your internet service
Because
provider?
if you don't respond to them, they're after your information, your name, your date of birth, and your address, and that is called an agreement.
That's actually so true, that as well.
What's that? Sorry, you haven't. Sorry, I'm still not. I'm foggy on that. Are you saying
no company, yeah, by law can use Data Protection Act to find your information out, unless it's a criminal activity, not a civil one.
Right, so they can't go through your internet service provider then, yeah?
They wouldn't be able to get through because they're a private company.
Well, that's
working for government.
See how they can enforce that then. As long as you put a fake name on, as long as you put a fake name on Facebook or whatever.
No, just use your human being name, not your titled name, which is what the government used to fleece money out of you.
Your surname.
DJs.
Your surname. That's a corporation.
Well, you know what? Oh, blimey. Hold on. Okay, can I do? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Hold on a sec. Carry on. Oh, blimey. What's going on? Stop. Hold on. That audio, I'm going to check that again. I don't know what's going on there. Might be some problem. No, bandwidth. Right. It is that time of day. It's beer o'clock.
Hey. One more thing.
Go on, Arsenal.
Can you send me a different link other than a pathetic corporation like PayPal, which fleece money out of people by stealing it?
Yeah, man. Quite right. Well said, sir. guv.li/chaos. That's DLive, mate. That's DLive, Arsenal. We're on DLive.
I can connect you on DLive.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Oh, we're well cool. We're well cool here. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, guv.li/chaos. That's the place to watch this show. Not only damn fascist networks, yeah? We're just using them like they're using us.
What do you think? I reckon Arsenal should do a show with Albert Burgess.
Oh, that would be interesting, wouldn't it? That would be.
Yeah, man.
James, can we keep on topic though?
Oh, absolutely.
Would Albert keep his shirt on? I want to say, everybody I met the other day, it was just beautiful. It was really like spiritual, man. It was really, really wonderful. It was really meant a lot.
But I met Carl and Lynn, and like I saw Carl was like, bloody LG, it's pretty OP.
I'm really pleased. Lynn encouraged me to go and said, "You want to go?" And I was like, "Yeah, can't drive." And so she booked all the tickets to get down there and back, and we both left together. If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have got down there. So thank you, Lynn, if you're listening.
Yeah, God bless you, Lynn. And it's a shame about Barbara. Oh. Yeah, you've been watching the Daily Chaos with me, Olly Connelly. I'll see you tomorrow at 7. I've got Mark Stevens on tomorrow, who does activism stateside, and we're going to be comparing notes. And that's it. Yeah. I just never know how to time this out, really. You know. I'll wheel the Daily Brexit out again sometime, yeah? Yeah. All right. Ciao. Nighty night. Here's to us and bugger plutocracy, yeah?
Absolutely.